we do in terms of a crew curriculum, we have incorporated PSHE and citizenship and various other kind of statutory obligations that we have to fulfil. We don't just do those in crew, we do those across our curriculum, because our curriculum is based on social equity and on, you know, developing oracy and student agency and voice and all those kind of things. But, you know, a lot of the things around PSHE and citizenship do sit neatly into crew. And so we do have a session once a week where we might look at, you know, what's happening in the news at the minute. You know, we had lots of really interesting discussions around Brexit. We've had some really powerful discussions around the environment that have been, you know, that have built out of the fires in California and the fires in previously in Australia. So we take that kind of real life learning and bring it into, you know, a context which has meaning and authenticity, rather than it just being, well, we're going to do this session on environment and that's just ticking a box, or we're going to do this session on democracy. And, you know, it's actually part of the kind of mature conversations that we have with our students to develop them as great citizens. We do that through crew. And sometimes they're formal sessions, sometimes they're not. Sometimes they're reactive and responsive to things that are happening in the world at that point. And we map that as well. We map that through our social equity mapping and various other ways that we do that. So that's a really important aspect of crew, and it's one that gives crew real purpose and real authenticity. Service learning in crew goes beyond, I think, raising money for charity and cleaning up our local environment, which both of those things we do actually in crew, and they're really worthy in and of themselves, because it just links to that idea of being compassionate and being respectful and being great stewards for our community and for our school. So they're really important in and of themselves. But service learning goes beyond that. So we have those conversations in crew that come from expeditions. You know, I mentioned before about should I stay or should I go, and the expedition where we focused on migrants who were coming into Doncaster and the kind of trials and difficulties that they'd faced in their own countries, and what had forced them to come to our country to try and find a better life and to try and support their families back home, and you know, unwrapping and unravelling these stories that these migrants have who come into our town, and for the kids to understand that and hear that and then be advocates for that group of people is what service learning is all about, really. You know, and we've done that time and time again through crew, linking into expeditions. We've worked with Age UK, done some wonderful work with them where we've formed relationships with their care homes, and our students have been into those care homes, interviewed the elderly, listened to their stories, then celebrated their stories and created gift boxes for those elderly people, and become advocates for them. So, you know, that idea of service learning being doing good for the world, but also affecting positive social change. And that starts in crew, and it's picked up in expeditions, and it feeds back into crew, and you know, it's a kind of virtuous circle, really. Crew is the reference point for us. You know, we say, and we still say it, and we're still working on it because we haven't perfected it, that if we get crew right, we get everything right. And, you know, that nothing is more important than crew. And that's true, you know. And it's because you know, in crew we discuss and talk about, you know, who we are, where we want to go, who we want to become, how we're going to make the world a better place, how we're going to become the best version of ourselves. And so that impacts on expeditions, on their learning, on their home life, on the way that they interact within their communities as well. So crew is pivotal, really, to every single thing we do in the school. If we didn't have crew, then it wouldn't work. We have a saying at XP, which is that we're all going to get to the top of the mountain, and that starts really on day one when the students first come to our school. Their first day of school is they get on a bus, they go to Wales, and they go on an outward bound course. And the guiding question for that outward bound course is, what is crew? And so the kids explore our character traits, our howls. They start to deconstruct those and unpick those and look for examples of where they've seen courage and respect and craftsmanship and quality, integrity and compassion. And they start to think about what they can do to support each other in those aspects of their school life. They create really, really strong bonds because they face physical challenges, which for some of the kids are really, really tough. But they also face challenges where they've got to speak publicly and they've got to push themselves out there. And, that starts to form that idea of crew. So when the kids come back after that first week, they're already crew. And so they understand the metaphor. They go up a mountain, literally, and they all help each other get to the top. And then we use that metaphor throughout their school life then, in school, to say, how are we going as a crew? How are we going to get to the top of that academic mountain? How are we going to get to the top of that compassionate mountain so that we're all really kind people? And so that becomes a focus which just runs through like a thread through the whole of their time at XP. And we come back to it constantly. So in year 8 and year 9, we go on outward bound type experiences at the start of the year. And the students go away and they reconnect as crew. They look at the narrative for success. They think about climbing the mountain again. They look at those. They have those shared experiences, shared challenges. They appreciate each other, apologise to each other, make stands, for our values and for our habits of work and learning. And we keep coming back to that and back to it. And then obviously we run the Duke of Edinburgh programme as well. So all of our students pick that up and do bronze. So every single student does the bronze award. Some students then go on and do the silver award as well. So that links perfectly really to those outward bound experiences that kind of get the kids to think about that shared experience and that common mission that we have, that everybody is successful, and that everybody's different. And that's a good thing because we celebrate difference and individuality as part of crew, because we're all the constituent parts of crew and we're the stronger for that. We achieve, better because of our differences, really. And our students know that, and they recognise strengths in each other that they know that they need to build in themselves. And crew does that. It provides that structure and that culture for those things to happen.
Crew is a place to feel safe.
Crew is family.
Crew is everything.